Can you imagine a world without tomato sauce? It's the unsung hero who subtly transforms our favorite dishes from ordinary to exceptional. But are fresh tomatoes essential, or can you go for tinned? What do you think makes a tomato sauce truly exceptional? What else should be added to improve the flavor? Whether you're an experienced cook or an absolute beginner, you can leave all your worries behind because we've got you covered. Fun fact: but before we get into the video, did you know tomatoes have a rich history? They were initially cultivated by the ancient Aztecs in Mexico. And here's a juicy fact: tomatoes were once believed to be poisonous in Europe. It wasn't until the 18th century that they became popular as food items. Fortunately for us, they are currently the heart and soul of our favorite tomato sauce. Now, without wasting much time, let's get started with an effortless and simple homemade sauce recipe. Are you prepared to master the art of flavor stacking and create a sauce that will have your guests pleading for the recipe? Because we're going to share with you exclusive information direct from the Italian kitchens to help you recreate that authentic, mouth-watering flavor. Step 1. Selecting the tomatoes. Okay, so the first and foremost important question is, what tomatoes do we use? The secret to a delicious tomato sauce is to use tasty tomatoes, regardless of the variety. When tomatoes are in season, use fresh tomatoes in this sauce. And when tomatoes aren't in season, and you're stuck with flavorless grocery store tomatoes, canned tomatoes are a preferable alternative for homemade tomato sauce. While Roma and paste tomatoes are often suggested for canning because of their fleshiness and fewer seeds, their smaller size and poorer flavor may not be as satisfying. Remember, if you like what you start with, you'll like what you finish with. If you're going to make tomato sauce using fresh tomatoes rather than canned ones, start by removing the ends and chopping them into quarters. After that, toss them with olive oil, salt, and pepper, and roast them for 30 to 35 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And also, keep an eye on them because you don't want them to turn brown. And after that, you should blend the mixture until it is smooth. This is an excellent technique to prevent them from being very watery. However, the sauce may need to be thickened by adding tomato paste. Then use them as you would canned tomatoes. Step 2. Blanch the tomatoes. After selecting the tomatoes, the next step is to blanch them. To get started, immerse your tomatoes in a pot of boiling water for a minute or two. This will make their skins looser, making it much simpler to remove them afterwards. Then, rinse the tomatoes in cool water to stop the cooking process and set them aside to cool and drain. Step 3. Peel away the layers, skin, stems, and seeds. When the tomatoes are cool enough to handle, take off their skins and cut away the area where the stems were connected to the tomatoes. This is referred to as coring the tomatoes. After that, cut the tomatoes in half and remove the seeds. Don't worry if you miss some. A few left behind won't do any harm. Step 4. The sauce debate: chunky or smooth? Now it's time to decide whether you want your sauce to be chunky or smooth. I recommend chopping the tomatoes in a food processor or blender before cooking them to save time. A few pulses will provide a thick sauce, while longer processing will produce a very smooth sauce. On the other hand, if you want a really chunky sauce, skip this step entirely and let the tomatoes simmer naturally. After the tomatoes have been cooked, you may either manually chop them, put them through a food mill, or puree them with a stick blender. Although hand and blenders smooth everything down, if you want large tomato chunks, give up the devices and embrace the pleasure of the ultimate chunky texture that will be unleashed as you squeeze tomatoes between your fingers. And no kidding, it will indeed offer a therapeutic experience. Now, after that is done, we can start making our sauce. Before that, let me walk you through the ingredients you'll be needing. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, half of a finely chopped medium onion, 1 small carrot or half of a large carrot, finely chopped, 1 small rib of celery, finely chopped, and don't forget those lovely green tops, 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped parsley, 1 minced clove of garlic, half teaspoon of dried basil or 2 tablespoons of fresh basil for that extra kick. 1 can, that is, 28 ounces of whole tomatoes, including the juicy goodness, or 1 3/4 pounds of fresh tomatoes, peeled, seeded, and finely chopped. 1 teaspoon of tomato paste to amplify the tomato power. 1 pinch of kosher salt and a sprinkle of freshly ground black pepper to taste. Step 5. Sauté the onion and garlic. Oil must first be added to the saucepan before the tomatoes can be added. Fact: sauces made with good olive oil taste notably better than those made with neutral oil. Add about 1/4 cup of olive oil to a large saucepan on medium heat. Then, continue to sauté the onions and garlic until they are soft. A few minutes should be enough. Allow the garlic to brown slightly to release the most flavor, but be careful not to let it burn. Along with onions, sauté any additional ingredients you'd like to use in your sauce, such as diced carrots, celery, peppers, and parsley. Stir to blend. Reduce the heat to low, cover, and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes, stirring regularly until the veggies are softened and cooked through. Step 6. Combine all the ingredients and cook. Add the tomatoes, including the juice, and shred them with your fingers if using canned whole tomatoes. Add the basil and tomato paste, then season to taste with salt and pepper. Once you've added all the additional ingredients, start boiling the mixture. After that, reduce the heat to low and continue to simmer, uncovered, until the sauce achieves the desired thickness. Stir regularly to prevent the sauce from burning. This will take at least 2 to 3 hours, but it can take longer if your tomatoes have a lot of water in them. Tomatoes cultivated in rainy years also tend to have greater water content than paste tomatoes. Note: this tomato sauce will thicken as it cooks. If it becomes too thick, you can add a little water to loosen it up. An additional step is available for those looking for a silky smooth sauce. Take the sauce and run it through a food mill, or mix it in a blender or immersion blender until it is silky smooth. The choice is yours to make. Embrace the velvety allure or savor the saucy chunks. Allow your taste buds to guide you through this flavorful journey. Step 7. Jar your sauce. To spill the sauce, simplicity reigns supreme. The tomatoes do most of the talking. That's it, my friends. A pinch of salt, a sprinkling of black pepper, and a liberal pour of olive oil. Voila! The sauce stands tall, so temptingly delicious that you'll find yourself stealing spoonfuls while crouched over the stove before anyone else has a taste. However, for those craving extra flair, a dash of herbs can elevate the final act. Finally, fill the jars with your completed sauce. If you wish to freeze your sauce, use freezer jars. And if you want to can it for shelf-stable storage, use canning jars. Also, don't worry if you want to increase the lifespan of your saucy creation. I give you 2 wonderful ways to preserve that taste so it lasts longer. 1. Stir in the lemon juice and salt. Stir in at least 1/4 cup of lemon juice or vinegar and salt. 1/4 cup is required to attain a safe level of acidity for canning. Taste and add extra lemon juice or vinegar as required. 2. Preserving option 1. Freezing. Let the sauce cool, then transfer it into freezer containers or freezer bags. Note: sauce can be kept frozen for at least 3 months before starting to develop freezer burn or off flavors. 3. Preserving option 2. Canning. Fill sterilized canning jars with the hot sauce. Place fresh, sterile lids on top, then tighten the rings with your finger. Process for 30 minutes in a pot of boiling water. Let cool completely on the counter. If any lids do not seal completely, refrigerate that sauce and use it within a week or freeze it for up to 3 months. Note: canned tomato sauce may be kept in the pantry for at least a year. From juicy meatballs simmering in tomato sauce to crispy pizza with tangy drizzles and pasta twirling in a symphony of flavors, tomato sauce is a diverse delight. But there's more. Spread it on fresh bread to make mouth-watering bruschetta, or use it to dip golden mozzarella sticks and crispy fries. Tomato sauce knows no boundaries, enhancing sandwiches, grilled vegetables, and more. The best pairing for tomato sauce? Your culinary bliss. Try new things and let your palate guide you. Bon appetit! So saucy chefs, it's time to channel your inner culinary genius. Sharpen those knives, grab your apron, and start working your tomato sauce magic. Make this tomato sauce uniquely yours by experimenting with different herbs and spices and letting your imagination go wild. Your tomato sauce will be the star of the show, whether it's a romantic meal for two or a family feast. Please click the like button and share this video with other foodies if you enjoyed this saucy adventure. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to stay tuned for more culinary delights. Now, go forth and create your own tomato sauce masterpiece. Until next time, keep stirring, keep tasting, and keep embracing the joys of creating mouth-watering moments in your kitchen.